Hey, this is Simon with Caddis Fly Shop and Oregon Fly Fishing Blog, and today I'm going to be tying for you a great little ant pattern on an ultra stout hook, which will make it great for our high lakes right now. Ants are great searching patterns if you cast them near logs and stuff. The fish kind of hold on the bank and they're sipping ants and beetles and all sorts of bugs and stuff near that wood, and it also just makes a great trailer behind a larger dry fly on a little creek, or if you're on a little spring creek, you could fish it solo. Problem with these little ants is they can get lost in the river if you're like floating on the Mackenzie. So if I wanted to fish something like this on the Mackenzie, which or the Willamette, which I personally would, I would just tag it behind a larger dry fly so I could keep track of it. But this is a great pattern. I like to fish ants. It's a real simple one, and I'll show you guys a closer look here in a sec. Taking a closer look at this one, it's got a 3-segmented body. So it looks very realistic in terms of the segmentation. It's got, 4 sets of legs, 2 on each side, and then just a little wing. It's real easy. We wrap a little bit of foam on the bottom to build a little bit of bulk towards the rear of the fly here. But it's just a very realistic looking ant. I didn't add additional hackle because I just wanted to kind of rest on the water very naturally. So this is a pretty easy one. I tied a bunch of simple flies for you guys today, so we could bang a bunch of them out pretty quickly and get you guys some fairly simple stuff to tie that will crush late summer right now in the when aquatic insects are lacking. So starting this off, we're just laying down a little layer of this Semperfli Nano Silk in black. This hook is a freshwater short nymph hook from Ahrex in a 14, the 563. The reason I chose a little nymph hook is because Ahrex makes them just a little bit more stout, and there's some really big fish in these lakes and where I've been using this fly, and I don't want to risk it bending out on me. And I've never really had an Ahrex hook bend out on me like that, but just the size of large fish in lakes and other places, it just makes me worry. So this has enough buoyancy to naturally float this slightly heavier wire hook. And so what we did is we tied in one strip back here that's a little bit thicker, and then one here that's real thin. And the thinner strip is going to be used to build up this rear part of this body right here. And just after taking a couple wraps, you'll see you have a little built up rear end right here. And then what we're going to do is, the nice thing about this high float foam from Hairline is you can really crank on it with a gel spun style thread like Nano Silk, which is pretty cool. Other threads will, or other foams will just, it'll pop right through. But these are pretty resilient. And so what we're going to do next here is we're going to put in a little one wing of widow's web first. We don't need a whole lot, just kind of a small little amount. And that's going to build, it's the first wing. This is almost modeled exactly like a chubby Chernobyl. This is widow's web right here, and in the sense that it has 2 wings that are staged with legs on them. So it's not that difficult to tie. If you've ever tied a chubby, you can totally tie this. It's just a little bit smaller. So I'm going to make sure this is locked in, and then instead of pulling it back and risking popping it through, I'm just going to trim off this excess right here. And there's going to be another wing, so it's not super crucial that that's super cleaned up. And then what we're going to tie in is a couple of these fine round rubber legs from Hairline. This is a really nice simple leg for something small like this. A lot of times I like the Montana Fly Company Sexy Floss, but that's just a little bit too much for a fly like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to tie one side in right here. We'll tie your guy's side in first. There's one leg, and then we'll tie in the other leg like this. And then if you wrap it around the back like that, make a loop, then when you trim the back, you'll have a nice leg. And so now that that's taken care of, we're going to take a couple more wraps, make sure that's not going anywhere. Then we are going to move our thread up to the eyelet up here, we are going to wrap the rest of this foam up to the eye to just create one more little bump of body under here. Otherwise the hook's totally bare, and then you don't really have anything to make anything stick to. That's kind of the biggest problem. And so we're going to tie this bottom one off behind the eyelet here. And we'll trim this. And then we're going to add 2 more segments in. So this next segment, we're going to split this one right down the middle. And when you tie these segments off, this doesn't need to be super tight. That's how you get these little bumps. If you make it too tight and pull too tight, it'll compress. See how it kind of compresses down? And if you want the bump of the ant abdomen section, each section you're going to want to just kind of let up on it, and you don't need to tie it down super tight. So what we're going to do right now here is we're going to tie in one more wing right here, just like we did before, and then repeat the legs, and then we'll tie down the head and we'll be good. Like I said, guys, it's a pretty simple one. We'll trim this wing right here. That wing's a little big for what I like this fly, but I do like to tidy it up after everything's all done. And so we're going to do the same thing where we tie one leg on each side, and then we'll be done. It's a pretty easy one. If you've ever tied a chubby, it's a lot like a chubby Chernobyl. Which a lot of people fish them, but not a lot of people tie them. And if the legs aren't perfectly straight, don't worry about it. We can adjust them after we're all done. So you really want to make sure it's cranked down pretty good. We'll trim the front of this. And then what we're going to do is take this foam right here. We're going to move our thread right behind the eyelet. We're going to create a little arc. This is how you get the bumps. More too if you create a little bump before you tie it off. And then we're going to crimp it down like this. Then you've got an awesome little ant pattern. We'll trim this excess right here. If you pull it tight and trim it, it'll stay pretty low. And then we will whip finish and trim up the legs and be done. So this is a great ant for the high lakes. It's a great ant for little creeks. You can fish on bigger rivers. You just may need a little bit of help keeping track of it. Scientific Anglers makes these really cool indicator markers that if you are going to fish it by itself, you can actually mark the wing of like a chubby wing, or the wing of a fly. You can mark it, and it is a great way to keep track of your fly and what's going on with it. I'm going to trim this wing down just a little bit, just like that. We don't need a ton of wing. If you want it to float more, you can leave the wing a little bit bigger. I like that this rides just a little bit lower, but here we go. There's your awesome little ant. Super realistic, very simple, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.